Alright. Peace and blessings. I had a good time yesterday on that live feed, that was cool. A lot of people showed up. That's cool enough for me. I'm not no big time person. I'm just trying to get a message out. Thank y'all for participating. You know, Today we're going to talk about sun. That term sun. S-O-N this time. And God. I am God. That's the topic. And this is going to be kind of weird because now this is inspired through Galatians. I'm doing my little research. I'm revisiting life. It's like my soul just came here and now I want to revisit everything that's going on. So it's taking me back into the beginning of history and just finding out for myself what took place, reading in between the lines. The soul is the guide, it knows. So it sent me back to Galatians and Colossus, and it start talking about the air, being the air, the sun. No more being a servant. It's like you under the earth elements as a schoolmaster, and now you have to graduate and step your game up and stop being a servant and then become an heir. That's when you become the sun. Sun now gets pulled into the underworld, and that's what the topic is about. When you get pulled into the underworld now, you go through lessons. You're being in the temple, and when you finish, you come out now as the heir to God. Now you're on the throne, and you just got to live out your life, and you got a position in the mortal world. So let's discuss how does that work, and how is that real? All right. Only way we could catch it is by going back into the oldest known biology of the human body, which is in Sanskrit writing, Hindu writing. This is your Vedas and Mahabharata and all those books. In them, they teach you about the biophysiology of the body before it was composed to matter, when it was just in the shadow worlds. And so now, in this, you learn about inside the body, we have this system called Kundalini. You see, the Indians been tracking it down, and they kept a very good record of everything that took place with it. So the Kundalini now is what we're at to get to these whole religious thing, because when it got to the Western world, it got switched around. It went from being a biophysiology system that actually empower you to be like the cosmic man. You change from yourself. You don't be no more just you, a human being. You become a universe human being. The universe is a human being too, and its purpose is for you to embody it. And so that's what Kundalini do for you. It actually changed you and evolved you to be the cosmic person, the cosmic man, which give you control over the matrix. You become Brahma or Vishnu, and this is what we're going to get into now. How is this possible? Well, if you ever look at the Caduceus, the Caduceus will give you the basic icon image for us to work off of. So you got two snakes riding on the Caduceus, one opposing the other, is to make it like a symbol of DNA, which is what it symbolizes too, DNA. But the one side will be the Ida energy, and the other side will be the Pingala energy. Those two energies is what you're seeing, with the straight line down the middle being the spine, the dot on it being the crown of your head, or the actual, you could say, Vishnu, the whole process. No, Shakti. This is what's called Shakti energy. And the wings is actually the fire, the flames that makes up the whole two of Shiva and Shakti. So now you're looking at them having it in the medical world. We don't know the full meaning of it because it comes from India. It's out of Oriental. It is your biophysiology, but not like how we see it as the staff of Hermes and all this stupid stuff that has no actual true meaning. So we're going into the actual true meaning. So what does this Shakti means, Pingala and Ida and all this? How does it affect me? Is this real? That's what you want, something that you want to know. What does it have to do with my life? And when you're talking about Kundalini now, and this whole God thing that I'm telling you about is the God man, it's actually in the Eastern world as a religion. It was never like how we see it as a philosophy, a psychology, or even just a form of mythology. In actuality, it's an actual transformation that made many human beings go through by, random mutation. And so what wound up happening, it wound up being what we call mental disorders in human beings. And these mental disorders led to the United States using mental disease as a drug to, and a way to make money, a platform to make money, instead of actually addressing the Kundalini issue that a lot of those awoken higher beings or fallen angels is going through, because they don't want to accept the religious aspect of it, because to them religion is a market. It's not actually a way of attaining a higher divinity, much less do they really believe in God or the devil to say it has any influence on this physical world. But it do. You see, that's what I'm trying to bridge the gap in between, because me, myself, who've been through the whole Kundalini activation process, had to learn all that I'm telling you about what its true meaning is. I'm giving you examples of being in the astral world and the astral experiences. It's not like I'm telling you I'm going to my mother's house and she's baking me cake and I'm going to go see this rapper or whatever. No, I'm giving y'all some unique experiences that is unique not just to you, to me, to really anybody who had Kundalini experience, because I faced it and went through it. And in facing it, you come to a system that not even the Indians had a full concept of, because they had it only one way. Like, negative spirits is bad, and the whole religious aspect of it is to get past heaven. They don't want to deal with the heaven thing and all that. They just want you to ascend out the top crown of your chakra and you become absolute. That's their thing, Brahma. But in it, it has all the worlds of every race where they belong, because we all come from different frequencies within the chakra. That's why you have certain people stuck at certain gatekeepers as far as in religious aspect, beliefs, and even their egos. And so you will understand what governs it if you understand the full meaning of Kundalini. So to give you a general understanding, so we don't stretch this out too far without getting a greater meaning, Kundalini is an effect that happens throughout a person's life for unknown reason. It's like an energy that sits in what's called your root chakra or the Muladhara chakra, and it's set to go off after a certain amount of experience. So all of a sudden you get a burst of violent energy that shoots up your back and up your spine, that it goes through all 33 vertebrae, but usually it takes over years to go through just one vertebrae, with many activities taking place, and such as you start having visions, start seeing spirits. Let's say from the first explosion, really, you just seem like you just exploded into a dark space and you're facing a whole bunch of demons and horrible spirits. That's the first thing written in the Mahabharata, or the book called, I think it's called Kundalini Chakra Mapra. And so all of these is actually stuff that happens within our biophysical body that we're not aware of and they don't tell us about. And so for us, they say that we're schizophrenic, we're going crazy. So by you touching this now and understanding that it's happening and there's people out here who's divine and have these Kundalini activation, you had two sets where people who had these just spontaneous activation just went into hiding. They either was put in mental institute, but in the ancient days, they was the people that they said just popped up out of nowhere and was like very intelligent. They knew a lot, because after you go through the whole experience, which is like I said, you explode into the Tuat. Once that first root chakra loosens, it's like you're not connected to the earth no more, and you actually start seeing higher things. So the first thing you're going to see is darkness, and you're going to be facing a lot of aliens, a lot of beings, a lot of reptilians. That means you're in the Tuat now, and your Kundalini, the root chakra, activated, and you're going up. And so when this happens, a lot of people, when they complete everything and they get to their crown chakra, they just come back as these sages that's come out in history, but they don't tell you the full story. People like Jesus and the Magi's that was deep into astrology and knew all these things. The average person who have a Kundalini explosion, they become 15 to 30 times smarter than the smartest person educated in any system, naturally, without even choice because of the experience that the Kundalini give them is opening of consciousness. And so no human could attain to a Kundalini person because it's a consciousness and perception thing. So they was extremely intelligent and knew a lot, and they was the one going around helping a lot of people. So how is that possible that makes them so intelligent, smart, and knew a lot? Well, this is because when you go into that dark space, you face a whole bunch of different beings, or what we call gatekeepers, or the mandalas of each chakra. That's the being you see in, or Devi in the circles. It's a different aspect of yourself. It's a whole bunch of them, maybe thousands upon different sub levels between each of your 33 vertebrae, and this energy Kundalini is bursting through them over time, or it could just burst at 1 month to up to 20 years. It has its own way of doing it. So once they started learning this, the Europeans just kept it on just medical, but not on a deep medical level. They put a psychology with C.J. Jung leading the lead upon it by making up archetypes of those Mandela, those Devis, and explaining to you as the Leviathan means that you're in this part and you're going through this psychologically, but there's way more to it, because when you read in the biblical sense now, it's only through the psychic energy you could deal with God, Jesus. This Jesus thing is only psychically. It's not in the physical. It was never in the physical. If you read it, that's why he said, I'm in you, and so is the Father is in you. But like if you mundane and you deal with your 5 senses, you can't tune in. It's that other voice that's telling you. Now, if it might sound crazy what it's telling you, is because it don't agree with everything in this world. It can't see none of this going on. If you're going into that journey, you have to have the cognition to know the difference of what you can and can't do, because it can't see out here. It only talks to you psychically. It never could hear a human being. It can't hear words. It don't work off of those vibes and frequencies. It's psychically inside. So once you knew this, and all the old sages knew it, it was a journey through the Tuat that made them able to go to be a man god. This is where you get the first, like Manu. And even if you study in Lemuria, they got one for the blacks called Afri, A-F-R-I, who was the first ascended master that they named Africa after. And, you know, it's tells you the whole story. That's how Africa came. And he was a demon, a purple being. And then he ascended from his lower self, and he caused the black nation to come into existence. Out of him, they call him the purple color. His parents is Alpha and Omega. You know, when you hear these terms, we don't understand what they mean, but it's deeper. Like I said, it's reflections and frequencies. And it's what created actual physical flesh. So anyways, all this is taking place now in certain levels that's saying you could go from a lower self being to a higher self, and even higher past the heaven world to unlimited. It's infinite. So for most people, where the throat chakra is where heaven is. That's the zone where when you're traveling through your body, you will see all the stuff that's in the biblical sense. But that's not the full epitome of the whole chakra system. You still got your pineal gland, your third eye, which take you up into other world. And once you ascend to your crown chakra, you can leave all those worlds and be anywhere. And that's what an ascended master is. That's where you want to head. But now that's what the Indians want to just get you out and make you do. But you got to realize in it, some of us is like melanated people, even white people. We have different journey to take through Asgard. For us, it's through the underworld and meet the Egyptian gods. Some people got to meet the Nordic gods. So you have to know your system is designed for your species. It can't go like how they're trying to tell you, just sit and close your eyes. And those that is doing it, because every human being have to do it, because consider yourself unconscious. They say it's when your Mudalara chakra open, the root chakra, it's the beginning of breaking the matrix, the Maya, the illusion of what you see with your eyes. And so you will want that. So all the yogis will practice in yoga and these different tantra to break this reality slowly, inducing the Kundalini slowly making it that they don't see just one world and become one with Vishnu and Brahma and see and be able to have powers. These abilities was called, what did they call it? If I could remember. I can't remember the word, but the word is very important to know. Siddhas. Sidhas, I think. Siddhas. So siddhas is the word give you powers when you do it in the underworld, because you do a discipline. When you do the discipline rites, you go through different levels that not just did you overcome it, you also acquired abilities in there which give you telekinesis, psychic abilities, a whole bunch. But later on for us, when Europeans came, they interpreted into the modern religion. So when I tell you that you are God, it's because you're God only in your chakra system, and you were sent here to retrieve information for all those devis inside of you, with Kundalini as the overseer and Shiva. You know, we could name it whatever we want. The name is not important, because you could call it from Mary to Jesus, but it's not one. There's not one like a God. It has to be in two. Everything is in two sets. That's what the Caduceus is showing you with the two snakes. It's your brain just the same way. You got one brain, but it's in two polarities. So the same like there was darkness, there had to be light. With the darkness was first, as you can see, and then light came, the same polarity. And so you could look at darkness as the woman and the light was the man. So they was the same. They had to bring together to make everything into existence. Just so you understand. But one of us could run up to the top and become consciousness of all of that. That's what your purpose is, to be the heir. And how you do that is by conquering the underworld, conquering your fears, conquering your ego, you know. And so you will understand. In the beginning, they tell you in the beginning there was darkness. But you see, in that darkness, that's what it is. How come it didn't say God created darkness too? He didn't have to create darkness because it was already there. He was created after that, and light came and everything came. So you got to understand, within that whole darkness that was always there, that's where we first reside as these chaos energy, these gods that is always in charge of creation and dissolution, rebuilding and putting back together, evolving. And so it was us in our consciousness that separated from the chaos and said we want to civilize the chaos and create something out of it that we could learn from and evolve from, instead of just staying as chaos energy. And so one of us kept pushing it in the process of what's called evolution. You have evolution and you have involution. Those that are born like particles, if they don't advance, they die off. And so that will be evolution. Involution would just be the creation of it itself. The quality in it now in quantity divides. So the quality keeps growing while the quantity of it get destroyed and be the matter for it to stand on. So by you having consciousness of all this, you will be the quality in it, and you will keep growing. So you meet your divas and you confront all your devils, and you own the mandala, the circles. All the circles become cells eventually till you become a prokaryotic cell that can't die. It always manifests in the matrix system. So that's how it works. You can Google the word apophysis, and you will see that George Washington did the whole process himself and ascended to a god. That's the whole picture you see in the Washington Museum or whatever that place, the Capitol, where he's up in the ceiling, a big picture of him like a god with one hand up looking like Baphomet. That's because he did the process. That's the process everybody has to go through. And they cut it out of our life so they could rule us. The Egyptians had it as the coming into day ritual. Everybody's a god, you know. Back in the days, everybody was named Thoth. Not one person who wasn't the same name. Everybody had the name of a god because they didn't individualize themselves. They channeled the god and listened to the god and got their information from the god. Now that we don't listen, we get our information from the government and who rule us. Your god is your intuition, your spirits that was sent here to guide you, like the movie The Matrix when Morpheus came and showed Neo. You got that invisible inspiration if you listen to it. If you're not afraid to take chances and go into these worlds, I wouldn't recommend it, because from what I'm reading, I read the ancient books of it, shit from 1300s, 1200s, that ain't been tampered with yet, before the New World thought of this New World Order stuff to eliminate truth. And so, you know, it says to have a sage do it, and That's where I come in at. You know, I'm a sage for sure. You know, once you heal yourself, you can heal others. And so if you want to get it done right, get in touch with me and I'll monitor you. I'll get it activated through me being activated. It automatically activates you. Plus, I know how to induce it. But it's like, you know, it has to be monitored, and you have to be understanding that you're going through a change. You're trying to go through the metamorphosis from the butterfly to the phoenix now, and that's your whole sole purpose of living. But you're doing it the Egyptian way, going through the initiation. You have to make time and be patient, and absolutely you have change where you affect matter more. You affect the matrix. You can't change the whole world, but you could change the world you're in. That's how it works. Only your world it affects. It can't affect the next person's world because he's not in this world with you. It just seemed that way, that we all share in one world, but in reality, you're in a bubble of your own. You go back to your own dimension. You're your own God. You're your own father. You're your own son. But you have to understand how that perception of it works. That's why I say go to Galatians and Colossus to show you it's when you start leaving your serving yourself, serving your desires, serving your pleasures, and see the bigger cause. You're not being a servant no more, and you become what's called the son. And then under the sun, you go through the initiation. This is the spirit. Yes, your intuitional spirit come back. Your higher self come down on you when you're able to stop looking down at the ground and look up. Once you do that, it says, oh, I'm right here. And then it unites with you and take you to meet your soul, which is a whole bunch of lives of you scary-ass peoples. But it takes you now where you astral project and you go through yourself and you heal your body. With healing your body, you're not just healing just the body. You actually rejuvenating it with astral or ethereal energy. This ethereal energy is what's going to take you now to being in what we say immortal, or you live forever, because your body now take on a different energy. It has the ethereal energy open, the nadis, your chakras is open, so it can't die. So I'm not saying it can't physically die, because nothing is going to go against the law. That's why you see from Horus dead, Christ dead, everybody, niggas' eyes was getting cut out with the gods killing other gods, because if you're in the physical, it's governed to the law of the physical, but that don't mean that there's other laws that don't pertain to you, like you can't die. There's another world, your cannabinoid system or your chakra system. There's many different parts to it still. So understanding that you're supposed to be the heir to God, meaning start your journey to Godship. And if you don't believe you're God, you're going to think you're a lame and believe that humans shouldn't keep making mistakes. When you put yourself as God and say that's your title, that's when you live up to that title and try to set higher standards for yourself. And by you believing in it, by you actually knowing that, it comes and gives you that power, and it'd be like, damn, you got it. This is who you are. And you now become the God of your creation. If you want to help in this world and help change it, you have the power to do it now. This makes you have alignment with the laws of attraction. This also gives you the power of Solomon and the spirits. To give you control of nature, give you control of water, your intuition align. All the animals will listen to you and be one with you. They come around you. You just have to unite. So you become the witch, the magician, the wizard. All of this is afforded to you underneath that constitution. It's part of one hierarchy system with the seraphim, the cherubs, what we call the elemental spirits. That's the air, earth, water, little cartoon spirits. That's why they put cartoons on TV and kids watch it, because they was with the elementals last before they came here into this atmosphere. So that's why cartoons, all of them look the same, like Barney and all these ducky, mousy, funny faces. That's exactly how the elementals look, which is another aspect of yourself, because you wear those spirits of earth, air, fire, water. What are they really? They're the subatomic particles that they tell you when you stare at it. It waves, it changes. Particles that's observed come together and form. And when you're not observing it, it falls apart. So with that theory now, you're really in particles that's holding together atoms. But when you're not paying attention deeply to what the atoms break. So that's how the elemental spirits work. When you do get friendlier with them or understand they exist like fairies exist, they'll break for you. But if you're not conscious of it, they'll always be stuck in this reality. So you must understand these things, and that's what we call ancestors. The elemental spirits. When we talking like ancestors, like our family and friends, remember they only govern to the laws of this physical earth. They don't really look like that. They never look like that. That's why when you go on your soul journey, you'll see yourself looking all type of weird ways, different races, different colors. So you can't say this is how your aunt looked when she passed away, because she's going back to her soul look. She's not going back to the earthly look that was in this world. What about in her last life, how she looked? So you look at both pictures and you're like, which one is your aunt? So you can't just go around saying this is how they supposed to look and that's my ancestor in the sky. It don't work like that. You understand? You got to understand how it works. If I'm going to project myself into the clouds and in the sky, it's me now. If let's just to see my soul on my soul image, it'd be a whole different picture. It'd be a whole different me. And it's the same with us. Our inner shadow self or our real self is not the same one that's being projected out that we see. And so you got to realize that you don't judge a book by its cover or its image. But your job is to ascend and get to your higher self and get to be God, so you can be in control of your spirits and they'll be guiding you again to your journey you're supposed to be on. I'm going to give some more information on this and probably back this up with stuff that I missed. But it's getting long enough. I'm going to end it right here. University of Consciousness. One love.